Welcome back to the retro review of Raw from the Sharpshooters podcast. I am Ross, and with me is Manny.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to conduct myself when I'm not hosting anymore.
It's like pictures. I don't know what to do with my hands. But...
like I'm normally on that side. When Eric's here, I'm normally in the corner there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do when I'm not the host anymore.
And Manny's my glamorous co-host for this run through of Retro Raws. We're going all the way back to December 1997 for this one. The last show of 97, it's December the 29th. And it should be December the 29th when you're watching this, but in 2021. We're going back to watch Raw and all that brings, the good and the bad. So if you saw us last week, I hope you enjoyed it. And then, we're going to be with you kind of every week to recap the shows. Let's start with this one then, Manny. It starts with Goldust.
Boy.
What is he dressed as this week?
New Year's baby.
Better or worse than the Big Show?
The Big Show's worse because he's bigger.
Yeah, it's more horrifying.
There's more of him.
Yeah, it's a much more disturbing sight.
There's more of him, and there's more to see.
Yeah, so Goldust is out dressed as a baby to tell us about Austin, basically, and he has a little thing back and forth with Steve Austin. Austin comes out in jeans, clearly not getting any sort of match here, even though the match card was for a proper match was going to happen. Austin's out in full jeans and shoes. Not going to be a proper match, but he does bring a porta potty, which takes forever to get to the ring. By the way,
you'd think it was something incredible the way it was coming in. Something more exciting than that.
Yeah, just a shitty toilet dropped into the ring, which of course he beats up Goldust and then throws him into the toilet and then tips it over.
Yeah,
great.
I mean, the funniest part was when he tried to get round it and get to Steve beforehand, and he just slams the door in his face.
Yeah, full on to the face as well. I watched that back to make sure he didn't get his hands up. It wasn't. It was full on smashed the door into the face.
None of that could have been choreographed or anything because it just felt so scrappy. Like at the end, I thought the aim was to throw him in it. But he fell before he even got near the door.
Let's do it twice, didn't he?
Yeah, this is all chaos.
Yeah, it was a proper chaotic opening. I don't know what to make of the. It's called Tafkag, isn't it? At this point, the artist formerly known as Goldust. I don't know if I'm enjoying it or not. I really did enjoy the very first sort of iteration of Goldust. I like the doubt he put into a lot of the fans in the audience, like with his proper gay antics. He would the hate for him was real, wasn't it? It was proper.
Yeah,
hate.
I think even when he did the, I don't know if it was a documentary or anything. It was definitely on the network, but when he was talking about it, there was definite calls for his head a lot of time from certain venues he would go to and stuff like that. But that was probably the best version of Goldust. The one that was challenging. But that didn't even happen really in the Attitude Era. That happened way before that.
Yeah, 96. When he's kissing Ahmed Johnson and getting stripped down to his lingerie by Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 12.
And this was
2 years before this.
Yeah, and I think wasn't that the start of the artist formerly known after Roddy Piper?
It must have been kind of a little bit later on, I think, because then he had the Ahmed Johnson and Razor Ramon feud. He had a little feud with the Undertaker as well, which was odd. That's not something that a combination I want to see, to be honest. But yeah, he kind of. I think the artist formerly known as is when he genuinely splits up from Terry in real life as well, and sort of has a little mini breakdown, which Vince just plays into on screen. It works. It's a definite gimmick.
Yeah.
That's our opening, and then we get Los Barricos come out rapping in Spanish. Savio Vega and three pals. So I've got no idea who the other three are.
The Los Barricos.
Well, yeah, exactly. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. One of them is incredibly hairy. I did notice that.
Yeah.
They'll take on DOA in a Long Island Brawl, which is a 3-on-3 no DQ match. Did you catch when the DOA came out on their beautiful Titan bikes, which we got mentioned about 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, so there's definitely product placement going on there.
Yeah. I'm not even trying to hide it. I did wonder if Taker's backstage thinking, hang on a minute, those boys get to ride their bikes to the ring. This gives me an idea.
Yeah, but that happened in 2001 when he did it.
Yeah. Took him a while. He had to get rid of the Taker gimmick first, didn't he, before he could get on his bike. This match is just a shambles. It's just 6 men just punching and kicking each other for 3 or 4 minutes. Like I think this match goes 6 minutes, and there is not a single wrestling move in the entire thing.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember who won. It doesn't matter who won.
No.
It's just it's part of the gang wars, which is just going to escalate as we get kind of other gangs involved
Series,
in this.
wasn't it? That was Survivor Series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That near the end of '98.
Jesus Christ! It's got a long way to run. It's going to include the nation at some point as well. It's going to get messy. This is. Triple H gets down to the ring with his lovely knee brace and crutches. I don't think he's ever used knee brace and crutches before because he's putting all the weight on his braced knee, unless he was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
He was doing it completely the wrong way around. But he says he can't face Owen for the Euro belt because he's got an injury the previous night. He's joined by Sean in the ring and Chyna and her 2 new friends, which get a lot of play.
Yeah, this is the one that, like, we were talking about how did they get away with this? This was the one.
Yes. Yeah.
This is definitely the one where you go, how did this get let on TV?
If you have not seen this since '97, please go back and watch, because you will be amazed that this was fine. I'm sure Vince was more than happy with this. Put this on TV, yeah, just focus right in on Chyna's boobs and have them talk about it endlessly for about 5 minutes. It's so weird.
Oh, he's probably in the back loving it.
Yeah. Vince probably directed this. He probably scripted it perfectly for them. Sarge comes out and tells Sean that he'll have to face Owen for his world title instead. So, I mean, good night for Owen Hart, to be honest. He was facing Triple H for the European Championship, and he's now getting a world title match instead. After the break, the Nation of Domination are in the ring already, as Karma, the Ultimate Fighting Machine, is taking on Ken Shamrock, an actual Ultimate Fighting Machine. That was the end of my notes for that. I don't know what happened after that. I'm assuming Shamrock won.
Did you black out?
I think I honestly did, to be honest. I'm guessing Shamrock won because he's got an IC title shot and Karma's just Karma at this point. He's awful.
I like that The Rock came out and kept calling him Kenny, and then directed the rest of the nation, including Farouk, come follow him. And Farouk was like, what the fuck is going on?
The other 2 follow him, didn't they? D-Lo and Karma just walk back, and Farouk's like, fuck's sake, what am I listening to you? What follows that is Vince gives us basically a Happy New Year speech and tells us how much hard work the WWE are going to give, or WWF are going to give us over the next year, and to stick with the product, and it's going to be great. Weird.
It's very weird because it's also like, have you been watching Raw recently?
Yes. Yeah. With the ghost of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but Vince McMahon now, and then you see Vince McMahon then, it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You have got old.
Yeah, 20 years. That man has aged 50 years. He's a terrifying ghoul these days. He looked like, I mean, he must have been, that's 20 years. He must have been approaching 60 at this point. Because isn't he around, he's around 80 now, isn't he?
He's around 80, yeah.
Yeah, so he must have been like late 50s, early 60s. He looks in fantastic shape.
Yeah, but you also realize that this is the point where he starts bodybuilding at some point as well.
Oh, yeah, true.
It becomes a machine.
That's getting on the Ico Pro. Definitely not steroids. Ico Pro all the way. We cut away from that to Jerry Lawler in the ring with Brian Christopher. Too sexy Brian Christopher, which Jerry calls him, which is so weird when you know that that's his son and he's calling him too sexy.
But the gimmick, odd. But the gimmick is he's playing off that he's not his son.
Yeah, he's not his son. He's JR's son.
BC.
Lawler found this out for And what follows is the most random match I think we've ever had on Raw, which is Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher taking on Takaminoku and George the Animal Steel for some reason. I've put.
I like that on commentary. They really sold that George the Animal Steel is not the most focused man in wrestling. And how Takaminoku and him are going to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, for a fluent English speaker, communicating with George Animal Steel would have been tricky, but for Taka, almost impossible. Taka and Christopher do put on a really good little match in between kind of the chaos that this descends into. I could watch these two give like a good 10-minute match, a cruiserweight kind of clinic almost.
I forget how good Taka was. Like, he was trapped in that light heavyweight title bullshit and stuff like that. It's like he only really came into his own, like when you got the Kai Entai stuff.
Yeah. Which would be, again, another 2 years or so, really.
Yeah.
Same with Brian Christopher, to be honest. I think at this point, he's really good. And then he just becomes, too sexy Brian Christopher, part too cool, and kind of doesn't...
living a gimmick.
Well, yeah. He starts to do lots of drugs and lose his teeth and become homeless and that sort of stuff. And it goes downhill for him very fast. But as just a cruiserweight wrestler, he's really good. And it all kind of goes downhill, unfortunately. This match ends in just absolute shambles with just George Animal Steel pulling out something from his tights, like a shiv, and just shivving everyone in the throat. He is an animal. He's an absolute animal. And then he goes under the ring and pulls out.
Why did we watch this?
It's going to be good because people think Raw these days is terrible. We're going to show them it really was terrible 20 years ago. We're going to shit all over their memories. George Animal goes under the ring and gets a washing up bowl and launches it into the ring, it looks like, and then just launches it at Jimmy Corderas as he's trying to run away from him. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. And that's the end of Raw as we now head to the War Zone. Lawler's got chains and he's now on commentary with JR.
It's a nice change because they go to Cornette afterwards, don't they?
Yeah, they I think they must flip-flop between kind of Lawler and Cornette, like on random weeks. Because Cornette does show up later on for his little State of the Wrestling World address that he does.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, Lawler and JR is the classic team. For me, the best team ever is Heyman and JR. I really enjoy that team.
I think for me, it would have been JR and King.
Yeah.
Because it kind of that's kind of the voice of that Attitude Era. It wasn't Heyman. Heyman for me, when you look at wrestling as a whole, Heyman is the advocate or the wise man to the tribal chief.
Yeah,
he's done his best work there for me.
He's managed to reinvent himself so well, many times. I think actually, he is very good in everything he does. Our first match of Warzone is Road Dogg versus Mankind. But we don't actually get that, do we? We get a whole lot of nonsense happens. So the Outlaws come down to the ring. Billy Gunn has a hat on which says Mr. Ass. That must be the first Mr. Ass kind of mention.
I don't think he's become the badass yet, has he?
No, they're kind of on their way towards that. I always like the Outlaws. Their in-ring work maybe wasn't always the best, but I did always enjoy the gimmick. I love the Road Dogg coming down to the ring, and I love their in-ring stuff with the mics. I also enjoyed for this. I enjoyed the Mick Foley kind of flipping between Dude Love into Mankind into Cactus Jack on the big screen. I love the way that as he walks towards the camera and then he just appears up on the ramp as Cactus Jack. That's so cool.
Yeah, I like how they played off leading up to this most of the night. What the hell was that in the box?
Oh, yeah, the giant box that's on the ramp for no reason. Which just started to shake randomly at the start of the Warzone hour. It just started rocking itself back and forth. Do you think Funk was inside there for the entire show?
He must have been. Funk doesn't do anything just for like thing. He's what's that word? Method.
He's in there with the fucking thing over his head, full hour.
Definite method acting.
Yeah, we'll call on you in 75 minutes, Terry. Now get in the box, will you? Road Dogg and Cactus Jack put on a pretty decent match before the DQ. Obviously, the DQ because Billy Gunn interrupts the match. The DQ finish was absolute nonsense. There was an absolutely hellacious chair shot to Mick Foley's head by, I think it was Billy Gunn, before the DQ happens when Billy jumps into the ring and breaks up a pin. Like, what are the rules in this?
Well, we're going back to where referees were blind.
Oh yeah,
back then.
Awful. Absolutely awful. So Billy interrupts the match, causes the DQ. Cactus Jack wins. Entices the Outlaws up the stage, up the ramp to the kind of the top of the ramp there, and then we hear a chainsaw, and Terry Funk eventually gets himself out of the box.
Yeah, making a door from himself.
He didn't quite cut the perfect square, though, did he? He kind of missed a bit at the bottom corner and had to kind of properly force his way out. I was waiting for a Shockmaster moment where he just trips himself up and falls out of it. I love the chainsaw gimmick, but you can clearly see that the blade isn't running.
I'm just loving that this is going to lead to a dumpster match.
Oh, yeah. I'm quite looking forward to this little feud because it was kind of just four guys just doing whatever they wanted.
Like a ridiculous dumpster. Hardcore. Yeah, a dumpster match is coming, people. A ridiculous dumpster match.
Oh God, yeah. The Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack chase off the Outlaws. We'll see them a bit later on, being chased around the arena by these two absolute mental old men, basically. We next get Sable. She's on the way down to the ring in a little silk dressing gown.
Yep.
To be interviewed by Kevin Kelly, talk about the Raw magazine. I had this Raw magazine, but I had the Sunny edition because I was always Sunny over Sable.
I have an interesting story about this.
Yeah.
So this is years afterwards, but year 9. So I would have been in year 7 or grade 7 for the Americans watch it. I got a detention for owning Raw magazine.
Really?
Yeah. And I think in the cover, in the magazine, it was I think it was Terry. Yeah. Terry Runnels. And someone took it off me and then I got called because I bought it. And then they tried to go off that it was pornography. And then I got 2 days detention because of it.
Jesus Christ. That's serious. I remember in year 6, not year 6, year 10 and 11, taking in like Nuts and Zoo magazine into school.
Mr. Abdullah, you're a dick. Mr. Abdullah, you're a dickhead. I remember you. You're a dickhead.
Not that Manny holds a grudge at all. But yeah, Sable's in the ring. She wants to give the audience a little sneak peek into her centerfold pictures from the swimsuit edition of Raw. Mark Morrow comes down to the ring, sets up a chair. Mark's in double denim, by the way, looking fantastic. Double denim and a do-rag. I mean, that is the most 97 look possible.
Would you rock You rock incredible looks sometimes, including a Seth Rollins suit. Would you ever rock double denim?
I would, and I have. I'm not ashamed to say it. I do like a bit of double denim occasionally. Not like pure stonewash like Mark was, though. He was. You got to mix up the color scheme slightly, Mark. But of course, this brings out Tom Brandi again. Go away, Tom Brandi.
Who is this man?
I'm hoping this doesn't run for too long, but I get a feeling it's going to go to at least the Rumble. So we've got 4 more weeks of Tom Brandi interruptions.
Who is this man? Never seen this man before in my life.
No, all comes out in wrestling gear. Never wrestles an actual match. Well, why is he in gear? What's he doing? That's that segment over until next week when undoubtedly we'll get the same segment again. 7 jobbers appear out of nowhere just before the break because they want to take out Kane.
Oh, this was advertised throughout the night.
Yeah. It's the end of Kane. He's going to be taken out tonight by fucking Skull and 8 Ball. Scott Taylor and some other lads.
You don't know the strength of Scotty 2 Hotty. Don't you dare disrespect Scotty 2 Hotty like that. He has shaped the careers of many NXT superstars.
True, yeah. I do like Kane not giving two shits about it, though. Just come straight out. Yeah, come on, I'll take you all on. I'm not bothered about you lot. Walks right down to the ring, gets right in the middle of everyone, and then just is about to take them all on when the Undertaker's music hits, and Taker comes out, and JR gets very excited that we're about to see Taker finally snap and attack his brother, and obviously not. He fights with him, they clear the ring, and the Taker walks off. Really anticlimactic, this was.
Yeah, and then Taker walks off saying he'll never fight him again.
I'll burn in hell before I fight you.
Yeah.
You'll fight in about 2 months' time. We then cut to James E. Cornette, who thinks wrestling stinks, and he asks where the wrestling is, which I had horrible thoughts that this leads to James E. Cornette bringing in the NWA, doesn't it?
Yeah. Double J is coming back.
Oh,
with the NWA title. This promo is not very different to what you hear on his podcast or him in general. Like today, like this is a very real promo for him.
Yeah, I honestly, I 100% believe that he believes everything he's saying, and he probably is absolutely disgusted by the state of Raw, the lack of actual wrestling and shenanigans that goes on.
To be fair, if he based that promo on what happened the week before, I stand by him.
Yeah, he's not wrong. To be fair, where is the wrestling? But yeah, he rants on for ages, and yeah, he's going to bring the wrestling back. We'll see. We'll get to look forward to watching the Rock and Roll Express taking on the Headbangers at some point, probably. Sunny comes out. Sunny comes out and then goes away. She walks down halfway down the ramp, and then Ric Flair struts back up the ramp, and that's that. That was a really weird segment. I thought she was at least going to get in the ring and talk, but no, just comes down and wands off again.
Sunny never really spoke, did she?
I think she did with the Body Donners, but then kind of she's at this point, I think she can tell she's been overtaken by Sable, and she's not here for any reason other than just to be a bit of eye candy at this point. Like, Sable is the number one now. And then they cut to JR and Lawler, whose mics are now being broadcast throughout the arena. So they can make the announcement that Mike Tyson will be at WrestleMania, and that the JR Vince is in kind of negotiations with Don King to get him there. And I think they were hoping for a massive reaction. And what they got was a bit like the fans couldn't really give a shit that Mike Tyson was coming in.
Yeah.
There was even some boos.
I don't think Mike Tyson had a great reputation going into that, though, did he?
No. Tyson in 97 would just come out of prison.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's got a checkered past and a checkered future coming up for him. And I mean, I do remember Tyson being in there. He was there. He's there at the Rumble, and he's there on obviously the next night on Raw, where Vince is screaming at Austin that he ruined it, and that's a fantastic angle. I'm looking forward to watching that in a couple of weeks' time. But I don't think he was as big a kind of exciting draw as they thought. Obviously, he's always kind of credited with that's where the tide started to turn, but I don't know. It'd be interesting looking back to see if we think that's kind of what really happened.
I don't think that was where the tide started to turn. I think it's when you notice certain characters became far more confident in their abilities, because, like, you say the pinpoint, they always pinpoint the tide turning when Foley won the title, because they gave away the spoiler because it was a taped show. And then suddenly the tide started to turn. Yeah. But I think when you go back and look at the stuff that was happening on WCW, it was very repetitive at that point. So what was going on in WWE, because of the new characters, it started to feel fresh. Because you had these younger guys of The Rock and Austin that have just come up and like become superstars in their own right. And then you've got the Undertaker that's always going to be a star, because Shawn Michaels is gone. Shawn Michaels is out of the picture. DX is the thing now. DX, everything. So I don't think Mike Tyson was even in it. I think Mike Tyson is that celebrity that they've always had at WrestleMania. Previous years it was Pamela Anderson and
Lawrence Taylor.
They always try and just bring someone in for a WrestleMania just to bring in that casual, and I think that was Mike Tyson, and it was just to try and bring in people that like boxing and know Mike Tyson and go, oh, Mike Tyson's going to be on the show, let's go watch this.
I suppose, he was a big name. Like, everyone in the world knew who Mike Tyson was at this point. I can understand why. It's just to get eyes on the product, and fair play to Vince. He is promoted at the end of the day, and he did a good job. And that angle with Austin, I'm really looking forward to going back and watching it because it is electric. Like, Austin really comes into his own, doesn't he? As like, well, this is my company now. Like, I am the man. And then our main event for the evening is Owen Hart taking on Shawn Michaels for the WWE Championship, or the WWF Championship at this point. Owen looks rough. Like, he's got no elbow pads on. His singlet is awful. It looks like he forgot his gear. He's got like a scruffy beard at this point. His hair's all over the place. He looks like he's been going for a bit of a hard time, but he has an absolute fantastic match with Shawn Michaels. I can watch these two go every week.
I don't think there was ever a bad Owen match. When you look at it, there probably is, but like, I don't think you could.
They just
But like, I get tired of watching Brett matches. Like, I can't go back and watch a Brett match because they're always a bit too similar. At least with Owen, there's always something a little bit more different. I feel like Owen was a bit more creative. So like, I never got a bad Owen match.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing more kind of Owen as we go through this, because Brett is, for me, he's my favourite wrestler of all time. But I get what you say. His matches are very, very scripted, and there's always the comeback, the 5 moves of doom, the sharpshooter, the win. You're not deviating from the script in that. Whereas with Owen, he would throw in other stuff. He would do a bit of high flying stuff as well as the technical stuff. So it's more entertaining to watch, definitely. And this is a great match.
Yeah, it was a really good match, and like, I'm looking forward to when we're gonna move into the period where Owen's gonna be in the Nation.
Oh shit! Because he's the Black Heart. That's why.
And he becomes the Nugget and all this other stuff. It's just like, this is gonna be a good period. It's gonna be funny. That whole segment's gonna be inappropriate because blackface happens in it.
Shit, we're gonna get blackface, aren't we?
But I don't know if that's been cut out of our network, because I know it's been cut out of Peacock.
Oh, yeah. Thankfully, we're still in the UK and we've got the network.
So that might still be on the network.
Yeah.
But the segment might be cut. The segment might be cut. But that's when it happens.
We need to watch it.
But yeah, that's a period where this is all going to happen and very inappropriate.
Yeah, wow. I'm looking forward to coming back through that to see kind of how cringy it is, because it's stuff I've obviously seen clips of, but I've not watched back at these shows since I've watched them like 21 years ago. So it'll be an interesting couple of weeks. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever really watched back any Raws from this kind of period. Like, I maybe dipped into some pay-per-views, but like the one thing I've watched loads of was WrestleMania 14 on VHS, the official video.
See, WrestleMania 14 is a gap in my knowledge. I've watched it once. I watched it live on the night, but I don't think I've ever seen it since. And we were talking about the card the other night, and it looks like a really rubbish card for me. But you tell me it's good.
No, I don't think it's good. I just think I was young, so I would watch it all the time.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. There's a mixed tag match on there with Sable and Mark Marrow facing Goldust and Luna, which would be fun. But yeah, we get Triple H, Owen Hart. We get The Rock versus Ken Shamrock. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. To be fair, it looks okay, and like you say, the dumpster match is there as well for the titles.
Yes,
so that'll be good fun. But yeah, there we go. That is the end. Obviously, the match finishes in DQ because every match on this Raw did, and they all will throughout 97 and 98. But yeah, Triple H whacks Owen with one of his crutches, and then they get in the ring and beat Owen up a bit more.
I think good match. Yeah, it was a good match. I think as we continue and we start to come out the pilots, when we start doing these properly next year, I think we need to put a DQ count. for the year.
Yes.
So we have to include the amount of DQs that happen throughout the year. Maybe it will also include like times there was actual finish to a match.
Yes, we need a running tally of both, and we'll see where we get to by this the end of Raw 98. I think one's going to be much higher than the other.
Yep. I guarantee you, if we did that for the actual Raw of 2022, I think the number might be the same. Maybe even higher.
I don't think it'd be far off.
Maybe even higher because you've got an extra hour of this shit.
Yeah, I think you're right. There we go. Then that is the end of that episode of Raw. As we head into 1998, we'll be back next week with the first episode of Raw 1998. Your match of the night, Manny? If I'm really to ask this one.
It's a main event.
Yeah, obviously.
It has to be the main event.
By far away the best match. I did enjoy Road Dogg Mankind for as long as that lasted, but yeah, it's no.
Yeah, that's only because Billy Gunn was in the vicinity of the TV.
I love Billy. Billy's so good.
The most unnecessary. Like, why do you like Billy Gunn? Well, we need to explain this because you're not really a full character on the show where people get to know you that much. You're occasionally on. Why do you like Billy Gunn?
It's really hard to explain, to be honest. No wrestler has had more fantastic theme tunes. That's the starting point. The one Billy Gunn theme is absolutely incredible, and he's better than Mr. Ass. But a man who's... Yeah, it is. Go back and listen. The one is such an absolute banger of a tune.
This man is calling me the one Billy Gunn, the banger tune. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this.
Yeah, but you will. It's just so good.
I bet it ain't. I just bet it ain't.
The Mr. Ass character as well. I loved it. I don't know why I loved it. Just a man who's so in love with his own ass that he bases his whole persona around it. Is just fantastic. It's just so good. Like in a business that is so serious, and you've got the dead Undertaker and his brother Kane from the depths of hell and stuff, and there's a man who's in love with his own ass. It's so good. I love the Outlaws. I had the Outlaws DX69 football shirt when I was a kid, and I've had Billy Gunn t-shirts throughout my life as well. So I don't know. Billy's always been up there for me. On Ring the Bell, when we did our Hall of Fame inductions, Billy was the first one to go in. Before
you inducted Billy Gunn,
he was our first. He's the gold standard for us. He was in there above. We've done Eddie Guerrero since. We've done the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, all the classics. But Billy was the first one. He had to be
over Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Your Hall of Fame is flawed. Much like Eric when he said he had a top 5 and Matt Hardy was in it. Flawed. I've been flawed ever since.
I have a top 5, but with Billy as he's obvious,
he's the champion of that top 5, is he?
Everyone has to have their boys stable, the guys that were never really the big guys they loved. Maybe we'll go through that as well at some point, because you can have some of these guys as well. You're going to be like a secret Bob Holly fan, aren't you, or something?
No. Bob Holly. So bad.
That's the big shot. How dare you?
Santino is up there for me.
Ah, nice. Yeah, there you go. You see, everyone's got at least one.
No, because there's at 2 points in Santino's career where he could have been a world heavyweight champion, and I don't think anyone would have cared. That time when he could have won the Royal Rumble when it was 40 participants, where Alberto Del Rio won it.
Yeah, he hid, didn't he, for the rest of it?
Or that time when he could have won the Elimination Chamber.
Oh, we're going to need to do random Santino episodes now as well. Your MVP for the night of Raw? Who have you got?
I don't think there is one.
No?
I don't think there is one. I'm going to say Ken Shamrock just for saying it.
Nice. Or the Rock for calling him Kenny.
Yeah. Who's your MVP?
I've gone with HBK. I thought, a lot of this era, I think Shawn is going to be taking the piss until his debilitating back injury. But when he comes to in-ring action, there's no one better in the company, I don't think, at this point.
Well, we're going to watch that back injury on Royal Rumble. Because that's when it happened.
It happened so early in that match as well. It's such a ballsy performance from him to get out for the rest of that match. I think it's underrated how much of it killed his career for 5-6 years, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
So there we go. Manny, explain to the people where they can find us on social medias and all that sort of
stuff. So if you haven't subscribe and like the video. You can find me and the boys on the Sharpshooters I would say Twitter, but that is Ryan. So if you're actually looking to interact with us, you're best likely to go onto the Instagram, which is also the Sharpshooters, or follow us on the Midcard Mess or Facebook or either one of those. That goes for Ross as well. Make sure you follow Ross on all his multiple podcasts, even the Man on the Post podcast, because I enjoy that podcast. Even if they talk about Liverpool.
Or my own team getting battered 7-0. It's fun.
I did want to send you an image where I was like, no, that wound is too sore. Like, I got battered and Ross left me alone. I can't do it to Ross. My team got hammered a lot of time this year. I don't think I can. At least you're not in the relegation zone.
Nah, we'll be fine.
And how right was I about Newcastle?
You were spot on, actually. Yeah, that's Man on the Post. Check that out on iTunes and all over places. But yes,
he'd also Ross also does Ring the Bell, which is also a really good podcast. It's different to ours because it's a bit more insightful. We normally go for the banter.
We'll be back with Ring the Bell on day 2 of January. That's how we're going to title. I'm going to look at 2020. Every day is going to be day 1, day 2, day 3, with our review of day 1, actually. So.
We'll be doing me and Marcus decided we will be doing a live watch along of day 1. So
nice.
If you would like to participate, come let us know, because we did have Jamal on the last one, and he was what did he end up doing? He was seasoning some meat during the main event.
Nice.
He was seasoning meat ready to cook.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Enjoy your wrestling how you enjoy your wrestling. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're not going to judge. But yes, we will be back next week. Hopefully live. Maybe not live, but we will be back on YouTube. Look out for the Sharpshooters. Just follow them, subscribe, leave comments, all that sort of stuff. Let's bump those numbers up. Up.
Yeah, up. Our numbers are currently down, so let's bump them up.
Get on there. Like it, follow it, subscribe
send it to your family members. Tell them to watch it.
Your uncles and your cousins. Everyone likes wrestling. They just don't like to admit it. So just let them know. All right.
Yeah. All right, peace.
That's it. We're done.
Or have you got anything else you wanted to say?
Nah, that's it. Goodbye.
Bye.